Wish we could be going to the Star Wars celebrations. We're live. What's up?
Oh,
It's been
nice.
it's been 6 months, which is crazy. Time is flying way too quick. Criminal that it's been this long since we chatted. We didn't even chat during Skeleton Crew. Just a change of pace, but chat about that now. But there's also other things to talk about with Andor, leadership potential changes, Star Wars celebration. Yeah, man, how you been?
Dude, I've been great. How have you been?
Good, and also busy. Again, time is moving way too quick right now. I wish, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting old because time is moving so quick, but how can I slow it down?
Dude, I've been trying to figure that out. January was like 3 years, by the way. January as a month, like, was 3 years. So that was pretty good for slowing the time down, but February's flown by.
Uh, and that is, yeah, totally fair. For me, I mean, the school semester, it's about next after next week. It's gonna be spring break, and that completely blows my mind. Like that's basically like the halfway point, and I'm like, I
Damn.
just started basically, but it hasn't been. It's been like 5 or 6 weeks.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's wild. So recently, saw that you finished the Sith Clone Wars season 3. That was insane, bro.
Dude, you want to see something insane? I'm not going to show it for too long, but there's season 4 right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
exclusive sneak peek. Wow. Yeah, I'm not kidding, bro. You like Dave Filoni.
Dude,
They, maybe
Go
we might
ahead.
have to get into that a little bit later too, but um, from the standpoint of, I know they've said he's literally has a whiteboard with it all mapped out or whatever.
Yeah, he's a whiteboard guy. It's very useful. I highly recommend it for anything, honestly. It's so much fun. Um, Using a whiteboard. It's I don't know, get all the ideas out and everything.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't have one. I'm still stuck in the old days with the paper, but you know,
Dude, it's nothing but paper.
yeah, I have a nice fountain pen I like to write with every once in a while, but it might not be the most efficient, but it feels nice to write with.
Dude, fountain pens are so nice. I um I was telling you earlier, but I just moved and I found like 15 different notepads. I'm like criminal with just writing shit down. I'm the same boat, bro.
Yeah, I when I don't have like a pen and paper handy though, like my notes app, it's a mess. Like on my iPhone or whatever. There's probably like over 1,000 just random, like it could be a thought, it could be a video idea, it could just be a random thought. There's too much. It's so unorganized. I gotta clean that up some.
Dude, yeah, that's literally what my notes, because I wrote all my videos in the notes app on the laptop. That's what mine was. The entire last year, and it was just really hard because I could never find anything. Like I used it for both or all three of my channels, and then I also used it for the Sith Clone Wars and all that stuff. So I actually organized it. I didn't know you could add different folders on notes, and I just discovered that like
Really?
a month ago. Yeah, you
I'm
can.
still just
Yeah,
I immediately get in, hit a new note, and then if I really need to find something, I'll search for it. But okay,
yeah,
that would
you
probably be
can.
useful.
Yeah, dude, that's what I did. I've got I've got these people are going crazy in the comments with the teeth I got.
What? That's
They're calling me a
crazy.
vampire, bro.
That's crazy.
Oh, oh, you're killing me.
Show some respect to the king of Star Wars. What?
But nah, dude, I got different folders now. It's so useful, but
Yeah, I
recommended.
might have to take some notes on that because the most recent, I guess, upload on my channel, it's like a Odin year anniversary or whatever video. It's kind of like it's mostly a re-upload, but at the end of it, there's a song, and that song I found that in my notes app that I had writ like 2 years ago, and I forgot about it. So I was just like, I just pulled it out, and I'm like, this is what we'll use, and just recorded that one night at like 2 a.m. and edited it. It could use a little work, but it's kind of funny. I like it.
I
uh,
love it, man.
all right, well, let's get in with I guess the main topics per se. But let's start with Andor and season 2. Being that Andor was my um favorite Star Wars show. I was kidding. I was kidding about that. It's
Oh, oh,
no,
that's right. That's right.
no,
My bad.
no. You're good. You're good. For me,
I was
I
like,
yeah. You're like
was
that
it your
doesn't sound
favorite
right. You're like that doesn't sound
show?
right. No, but yeah. I, with that being said, I know how much how acclaimed it is. I know how people really like it, and I can see the appeal. There were just some things that didn't work. Like, I admit that it's a good show. For me, it was like, I don't know, some of these elements don't hit with me. But the things that they did good, if they can do that in this season two, for me, it was more like it didn't feel super. It didn't feel Star Warsy at some points. Like, I get the adult appeal, and that's fine. But it's more so like some of the aliens thing, or some of the choice of music. Case in point, this trailer. Let's talk about the trailer. I really like the
Yeah.
trailer. It's action packed, but what do you think of the music? I was like,
Actually, like it's really funny. Which the music degrees back there. I didn't even think about the music when I heard that when I saw the trailer. Like I saw the trailer like maybe 30 minutes after I woke up. I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's go Andor!" And then I was like, I watched the trailer and I was like, "That looks awesome." And then I looked at the comments and I was like, the music. And I was like, "What? The music?" And I went back and listened to it. I actually really like the song choice. I know. Hate to bring up Acolyte again, but I know everyone was up in arms over one of
oh yeah,
the Acolyte episodes
oh
ending
yeah,
with music in it.
yeah, that one. Okay.
And so I literally didn't even register it until I saw people commenting on it. But I thought the song choice, like with Acolyte, was great. It fit what they were going for. The idea of like revolution. It kind of fits that whole the motto that Andor kind of revolves around. So
Yeah,
I thought it made sense.
yeah. I think it made sense for like it from a to B. Like, yeah, it's like a revolution. Like the song kind of worked. It's just for me, it's like it's tough to like. I need to take a step back because it's kind of like it pulls me out of the universe, and it's like I don't know. For me personally, it's hard when it's like so I don't know if Earth like music. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, we make all the music, we make all the shows, right? But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's pretty nerdy. But the actual content I saw in it looks good. And the other thing I heard, I don't know if you've heard this or not, but the episodes are going to be released uh groups of 3, so 4 arcs of 3 episodes. That is something that I'm actually personally very excited for.
Yeah, I did see that, and I totally. By the way, I totally get your point with the music. I totally get it. Um, but yeah, I saw that. I was surprised. I'm kind of on the boat you are on. I'm kind of 50-50 right now because like personally, I love doing these streams with you. So
Yes, yeah, that standpoint is
like we could have been doing 12 episodes or 12 podcasts potentially for that, but I mean also like judging on last season of Andor was like if you did that, you're not going to get a lot of content out of every week. Like not every week is going to be your one way out. So I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's kind of like a movie every week, and I kind of like that aspect that you're basically getting Rogue One every week, just new.
okay. No, and I agree. And why I'm excited for it is for someone that wasn't as thrilled about the first season of Andor, I think it was large and due to these single episodes releasing and me feeling like maybe at times I certainly felt it was slow at times, but last season was also broken up into these arcs as well. So maybe when it's released in an arc and I can watch it at one time, it'll feel a little bit more maybe stretched out. As sad as it will be to say, oh, we can't discuss every week. But if we did these shows back in Andor season 1, I might have been like, some of the episodes I'm like, I don't know what to say, bro.
Yeah, I mean Andor is just built that way. It's built like you got to be watching every set. Like with Bad Batch, you can kind of like look at your phone. Not that you do, but like you can kind of look at your phone for a minute and be like, oh, what's going on Twitter today? It's like with Andor, you can't do that. You have to pay attention to everything, or you're gonna miss like incredible dialogue that's gonna relate to something 3 episodes later. So I mean, I I absolutely agree that the way they pace the show, it has to be. I think it would fit better. I also think it's a different way to possibly even approach shows going into the future.
Yeah.
They probably will do that because it takes 3 years to make 6 episodes nowadays, but maybe
Yeah.
they will.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. The last Bismo show, last month I did with Dustin. I I looked up like some of these older shows like Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, and those shows 1 year turnaround, 1 year turnaround for these 10 episode plus hour long episode shows, and the budgets were obviously lower or whatever. I just in my mind, it's tough. It's like, are we just out of this era where we can like these process just longer these days?
I don't know what it is. I mean, I definitely like for example, the Kenobi show. I understand why it wasn't 12 episodes or 16 episodes or something like that, but like it's a big universe. There's a lot of story to tell, and I think I actually talked about this in my most recent PPC video, but I think the issue is that a lot of the streaming shows, especially on Disney Plus, I think they're just elongated movies. I think that's what they are. Like Ahsoka season one is a movie. Like not every
Yeah,
episode needs to be spent on all that. And so I think that's the issue, but I also don't understand why if you're making that, you don't just either A, make it a movie to begin with, or B, make it faster because it doesn't like and I'm not saying rush the quality, but like it shouldn't take 2 years to make a show. I don't know. To me
dude.
that doesn't
Yeah,
make sense.
I 100% agree with you. That's something that I mean, I feel like like when I've gone on shows, I've talked with people. That's like a very similar feeling everyone has. Is like for a lot of these shows, like if it was released as a movie, cut out some of the fillers, like it probably would have worked better. Or yeah, dumped all at once. For me, most recently with Skeleton Crew, um, I really like Skeleton Crew. That was a very fun show. I think it would have worked a lot better to honestly do either the full thing dropped at once or like half and half because I think it's just a very bingeable show. The episodes aren't super long, but I mean, yeah, it was fun each week. But I don't know. Look at Stranger Things, what they've done, and the success that they've had.
Yeah, I mean, even with Skeleton Crew, I mean, even like if you did like a 2 and 2 like every week, like drop 2 episodes a week, that would I think work just as well. I remember when Bad Batch came out, what was it, last year or the year before, that it was like it was tons of fun because you had those big batches to look forward to. I mean, the first drop was 3 episodes. In the middle of the season was 2 episodes, I think, and I think the finale was a 2 episode drop as well.
Yeah, that
So I
was
think
fun. Oh, those
I
shows were
think
fun. That was some of the more fun, like when we broke it down. Kind of, we didn't do it necessarily every week, but those were fun streams. There was a lot of good
yeah,
content in that.
we need another animation show because you can actually drag it out as long as they did, and I don't know, get us familiar with the characters. Let us have fun with the characters. I think that's something that we're I think all of us are kind of craving. Is just like I don't know, more interaction with our characters.
Yeah, I want another quality animated show. Like the end of Bad Batch, like I think there. I mean, there are some people that were like, on Bad Batch. I really like. I grew up with the Clone Wars. It's just like it was an extension of the Clone Wars. Like I really like these animated shows. Star Wars Rebels is amazing. I mean, you got Chopper behind you right there. um, wait, uh, not to interject, but or change topic a little bit. But you mentioned you have like a new show or a new channel.
Yeah, I've been uploading on a cinema channel for a little bit over a year.
Oh, okay.
And I keep it like I'm not keeping it low key, but I don't like promote it. Is what I'm
Oh,
saying. I
okay.
don't really like.
Is it more of
Yeah.
an opportunity to make more, I guess, low key videos, or just kind of talk film in general?
Talk film in general. I love movie. As you can see
Yeah,
behind me, I love movies. So I'm like, for me, it's just an opportunity to talk more about things because like I really got super more into it. Again, not to stay off topic too long, but I got super into it because I really wanted to do like a Planet of the Apes themed video because I loved Kingdom so much, and you can't really do that in Star Wars. Like I can't just be like, what
yeah.
if Caesar was in Star Wars? It just like it wouldn't really like it just wouldn't mesh too well. So um,
Dude, and
it's a ton of fun.
yeah, that's the dude. That's the one thing with YouTube that's like it is a little frustrating. It's like it's hard to change when you want to like change it up a little bit. It is a little bit hard to do that. And like even
Yeah,
I posted. I think long term, I would want my channel to be what if of any universe or just long like anything nerdy. Like my channel's definitely shifted the past couple years and whatnot. So now I mean I mostly do Star Wars, but there was a time where I would talk. more anime, or just I would be able to upload a couple minute review on like the new Avatar movie that came out with my friend, just more candid stuff like that. But like, got to be pretty consistent with what you upload and the quality of the upload stuff, and that's why there's a need for second channels. I still
Yeah,
feel like,
absolutely.
I don't know. I think eventually with at least my channel, I'd want to get to the point where like it's the same style of videos, but I can cover a broad, like, any topic. So like, what, like, I did a trial. What if in the Game of Thrones universe, it hasn't actually done that bad. I'm curious if I can, I don't know, do something like that. But I don't know, not to necessarily. Yeah, man, that's fun
Yeah.
to. It's fun to make new channels too. I'll be honest.
Dude, yeah,
I
same.
have a channel out there that's, yeah, definitely not promoted or connected in any way. That's completely different content. But
Is it your OnlyFans?
what? What? That is not where I was going with. That's pretty funny. On YouTube. On YouTube. That's awesome. Speaking of animation, though, and Star Wars Celebration, which wish we could go to in Japan.
Yeah.
You think that they might release a new animated Star Wars show, or literally a Star Wars anime, or announce that? I mean, when could a better time be?
Yeah, that's like the perfect time. I think we're getting a Vision season 3, right?
I think I've
Or
heard that
2.
rumor too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure we'll see something from that there, because I think most of the animators that worked on that show are from Japan. I might be wrong, but I mean, you're right. I think we could see something, but I don't know what we would get. That's the thing. Um, you
Well,
know,
the most popular Star Wars Vision episode was like the first one that came out, I believe. One, and that was a animated style from someone from Japan, or a studio in Japan. I mean, what if it was like a short series, or like a 10 episode series announced with following that character with Ronan? That could be cool. I think people would be
that'd be
excited
awesome.
about that. I know that's like a very impactful character in the Star Wars universe for such little amount of screen, or hear people. Um, I'll be excited if they announce Visions, but if they don't announce another animated show while they're in Japan for Star Wars Celebration, I'm gonna be a little disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, it would be really great, because I think Star Wars unironically is best presented in the animated format. Like, I've got Chopper behind me. I mean, Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch. I can't get into Resistance, but like there are some really cool shots in Resistance that are just awesome that I use for videos. And so, like, I think Star Wars is best presented when it's in animated format, and it would be great to get something more in the animated format. I know Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire look great, but expand upon it. I I've said it 100 times and again, but I would love to see an animated series between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, because that worked really well for the prequels, and I don't see why that wouldn't work well for the sequels as well. Um,
Yeah,
I mean,
it could also, I
the
guess, be
Mando.
bridge those movies as well, and also better explain, just, I guess, in a way that some people that aren't as, informed on what actually happened between them. Some of those
Yeah,
plot points. No,
yeah,
regardless, we need more animation, because yeah, I agree, dude. Rebels is peak. Clone Wars has a lot of peak too. Like, I still don't get, like, on a similar note, there was a Lord of the Rings animated film that was just released in December. I saw over break with a friend, and I really enjoyed it. But it was the War of the Rohirrim. I made a post in a channel, and then I reacted to this trailer on my second channel. Anyhow, I enjoyed the movie. Like, I would give it, like, I gave it like a solid 8 out of 10. Like, I really enjoyed it. I liked the animation style. It was a fun time. I felt like it was the Lord of the Rings first, but the movie completely flopped. Like, it was a complete flop. I heard it was made from a standpoint to keep, like, like the Warner Bros. Would keep the rights for the Lord of the Rings movies, essentially. So like, it was kind of made supposedly as a sacrificial pawn. But a lot of what I heard is people are like, it's animated. Like, I don't want to see that. You need to broaden your horizon, my dude. Like,
yeah. I think that's actually the problem, though. I mean, I have the poster right there. Transformers One was probably my favorite movie of the year last year, aside from Kingdom, and no one went to see it because it was animated. And I think there's a genuine issue, not with fans, but like with the common audience, because the common audience, for whatever reason, doesn't want to see animated stuff. I mean, live action stuff is doing great. You know, they're doing the live action How to Train Your Dragon, which I'm gonna see it. I
Yeah,
got a toothless tattoo. It's not like I'm not gonna see it, but like they're
yeah,
doing it to promote the park at Universal. So I mean, I think there's a genuine issue widespread for people just not getting into animation. I think that's also infecting why they're not posting animated stuff on here either, because
yeah.
you get all these you did excuse me, you do get it in this franchise as well, where people kind of like hover above the rest of us, like, oh, you watch that animated shit. It's like, yeah, that animated
It's
sorry,
better. Yeah, the animated
um
stuff's better.
like, yeah, the animated stuff is great. Like, oh, I didn't watch Rebels because the animation style is different than Clone Wars. Like, dude, you're missing out on Dave Filoni at his best. Like,
Yeah, no,
I
yeah,
don't really get why there's like this
Rebels.
superiority over animation, but it's infecting all of cinema, and I think that's why Lucasfilm isn't doing it either.
Yeah, I I agree with some of your points, and then I also kind of have a theory behind, or like theory slash also comments. I think some of it's a little bit overblown in that I think that this anti-animation stuff is almost stuck with like the older generation or older viewers, older generation a little bit more so. And a lot of people, in positions of power obviously are older, so they might not resonate with some of these more animated stuff. Where something I that is animated that is successful, well, anime, like Japanese anime is super successful and is successful on the big screen if done right. Let me look up Demon Slayer box office. The first movie that came out for Demon Slayer. Let's look at this. $500 million as an animated film. That's not something to scoff at. And there's a
No,
lot of other, and how much it costs to produce? Way less, way less than like oh, it's not like, oh yeah, it took a couple hundred million to do that. No, not even close. Um, I watch a lot of anime. I'm a little bit biased. Like I watch a lot of it. It's great, but I also think that people that watch anime, at least from what I've observed, like there's more and more people that are more open to watching anime. So I think the time to release a Star Wars anime is now. Like the iron is hot, and I think eventually 5 to 10 years from now, it's gonna flip from like, oh, watching animated shows is uncool to like, what are you like? It's now uncool to not watch them. I don't know. That's
yeah,
kind of a long ramble, but
no, I'm totally with it. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense why Star Wars wouldn't capitalize off of anime, but also animation as a whole. I mean, Arcane, I think, was the biggest show on Netflix. It may have been one of the biggest shows on
oh yeah,
Netflix this past year, and I've never seen them, but I know the Spider-Verse movies are really popular, and
oh
they're
yeah,
animated, so it's
yeah. There's
like
evidence there. Like, why are we
yeah.
stuck in our old ways?
I don't know. I think Lucasfilm needs to get off of Disney Plus and get into the big screen,
Yeah,
and
100%, 100%,
I think
bro.
that'll help.
But with
I
that,
don't know.
sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, with that, though, getting onto the big screen, okay, there's leadership changes. So the rumor,
Hmm.
we hear that Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down by the end of the year. Does that potentially propel a new leader to come in and change the direction to say we're going to do less shows and we're going to focus more back on movies, get back to bread and butter? You think that there could be a chance? And then my follow up question is, who do you think, if anyone, is most well suited to do the job?
To your first question, well, they're already technically doing that. That was something that Disney as a whole is kind of doing, and Lucasfilm kind of has to bend a knee to Disney because they own the rights. So that was something that I think this curvature. Kathleen Kennedy gets like way too much flack in my opinion, but this curvature is literally a direct result of leadership at Disney, um, because that's kind of who controls the company. Like that's how That's why Rise of Skywalker was rushed out. I think it should have been 2 movies. I love Rise of Skywalker, but should have been 2 movies. And that's why that movie was rushed out. It was rushed out because Disney was like, do it in 2 years. And they're like, dude, maybe you shouldn't. And they're like, do it. And they did it. And getting the Star Wars shows on Disney Plus, I mean, Mandalorian was like the flagship show. It was like the first show dropped on Disney Plus. Like, Star Wars was the flagship for getting people onto Disney Plus as a whole. And I think that's why all Marvel followed suit and blah blah blah. I don't really, to answer your question, I don't necessarily see anything changing dramatically with Kathleen Kennedy stepping down, because at the end of the day, it is a Disney company, and that's not to be doom and gloom about it. It's just that it's going to keep going, because her job description is to fulfill the vision of George Lucas, and whatever that might be, it's also going to be impacted by whatever Disney does, or Disney says, and I think the trajectory is going to keep going what they're doing right now. And then to answer your second question, I hope it's somebody that doesn't already work on projects. I'm saying specifically, I hope it's not Dave Filoni. I hope it's not Jon Favreau. I hope it's somebody that's different.
Like outside of the company, potentially an outside hire.
Outside hire, yeah. Because like I think first of all, I think you need just a different individual in there. But also, I think you know, like they're not creatively doing the job. They're just signing off on the job to do. Kathleen Kennedy's not directly being like, all right, I'm gonna write this script for this episode. Like she's
Yeah, of
like,
course.
do it. It might do well. Check it off. So
Yeah,
I don't think like I know a lot of people like Dave Filoni, and I do too. But I don't think you want him to be president because what's he gonna do?
yeah.
He's the creative guy. He's the creative director for Lucasfilm now. You don't want him diversifying himself that much if you like his work. So I think it needs to be someone completely out there because they're going to be corporate stooge number 2. They're going to be doing what Disney does. That's my personal opinion. What do you think, though?
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to talk about Dave Filoni specifically. I am a big fan of Dave Filoni and his work, and I'm also just attracted from the standpoint of he's George Lucas's apprentice. But at the same time, that doesn't mean I want him to be shifted in a role where maybe he's not the best fit. I just want him to, if it makes sense, he has even more creative. I mean, he's already creative at what is it, executive?
Creative director, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. As maybe he can have even like I don't want him to be on the business side of things, but he should be at that absolute like overarching on everything from a creative standpoint, at least from my standpoint. Yeah, they should bring somebody like up from a different company or somebody that has the potential to just run a solid business model. Like at the end of the day, like yes, a lot of this is done. Like we want to make stories, we want to make good movies. They do want to make money. Well, why not do both, right? And in my opinion, like just let Dave Filoni cook for the most part. Have somebody above him from a business standpoint, dial him in, but also deal with the more stressful or business side of things so that he is just given a lot of freedom to do so, I guess. I mean, which he probably already has to some extent, but I am curious what that will look like. And I don't know. I was leaning towards if they did hire within the company, I would probably rather have Favreau at the highest up, just from a standpoint of I feel like from the work he's done, he'd be better at that administrative role, like overarching for the company. But I do kind of lean with the idea that maybe let's change it up and go for an outside hire too.
Yeah, I mean, to your point with Dave Filoni, I mean, he's as far as I've heard, I think he's very involved with every creative process. Like I know Leslie Headland had talked about it in several of her interviews that Dave Filoni was working with her. He was, I think he was a very big part with the Space Witches thing too. So I mean, he's already been kind of fulfilling that creative role, which is why I really don't think he should be a president of the company because it's a business and that's a business job and he's a creative person and I just don't think that would mesh too well. I do have to say though, I do hope that the new president is more focused on movies Like I
Yeah,
said earlier, that's what they're going back towards doing because that's what Bob Iger said. I think like 6 months ago during a stockholders meeting. But I think someone that's maybe even a little bit more rebellious because I'm sure Kathleen Kennedy does what she can, but maybe someone that's a little bit more rebellious too, whoever's in charge of Disney at any given time. Because I think you'll get more output from movies just getting it back. Because I think Star Wars is suffering from not being in the movies,
yeah.
honestly.
It's it pre-COVID times feel like a century ago at this point. Like we haven't seen one since 2019, and back then they were pumping them out. I mean, they like pumped out like what 5 movies, or was it
Yeah,
more than
five
that?
movies in 5 years.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. And then just halt. I mean, yes, the Mandalorian flagship like Star Wars was very popular at the time. Very, and it's obviously still is very popular. But from my perspective, just being like doing with it, doing content and whatnot. Like there's a lot of casuals that are not invested or not as invested right now, and a large part of that is just not having a movie presence. Like I'm sorry, but you can't expect the general audience to watch like 20 different shows, and especially when they're also like a lot of different like here, there, and whatnot. Like personally, it benefits me because I want to see different eras and whatnot. But not everyone has all that time, and sometimes like like let's say adults and whatnot, they want to just take their kid to a movie theater, take their family to a movie theater, and see like get the movie theater experience. And also
Yeah.
from a money standpoint, like I mean, just like as an example, is for shows like some. In my opinion, I just don't know if I agree with the business model because for me, like Game of Thrones, I only purchase HBO when Game of Thrones is out, and I calculate it where I only have to pay for it for like one time or the least amount possible, and then I like unsubscribe. So like I'm sure there's a lot of people that have done similar, like oh the Mandalorian, that's sure it brought them in, but if it's not there, then okay.
Yeah. I mean, the shows are built and designed for longtime fans, um, and especially for fans of a given series, like Acolyte, for example. And I'm gonna use that example because I saw a lot of people respond to it. But like, if you have a series like that and you cancel it, then you're kind of pushing your diehard fans away, and not really also not appealing to the general audience. Acolyte has its own little circle of fans, and Kenobi is going to appeal to a lot wider of an audience. And so, if you can do both, and so what I'm saying, if you can do both while appealing to that audience, that group of super fans as fans, because at the end of the day, aside from at the beginning of the streaming era, because I mean, Disney Plus, I think it launched right after COVID started. Was it
Yeah,
right
it
before?
was right before. It was right before. It was in I believe in November of 2019.
Yeah, so I mean, you had that huge boost from COVID, and that inflated the hell out of numbers because everyone was buying streaming services. But now it's not really as appealing because now you have to have YouTube TV to watch the NFL. Now you have to have, I don't know, what this stupid thing is, Peacock
Fubu,
to watch a
Peacock.
game.
There's so many
Yeah,
different things. You can't even keep track.
you
All of a
know,
sudden, it's just like television.
yeah, you're paying more for the same thing we had a decade ago, and people are sick of that. And so I think that's a problem with Disney Plus. I think that's a problem with Netflix and overall. And I think you gotta say, look, general audiences aren't tuning in to watch everything. Diehard fans, absolutely. People that are buying the merch, buying the art, buying all that shit, sorry, stuff. They're they're going to watch the shows. They're going to watch the shows regardless. I mean, people hated the Acolyte before it even came out. They were going to watch it anyways. They did. So people watched the Acolyte because they were dedicated to watching it because that's what fans do. And regardless what that means, fans tune in for that stuff. But everyone's going to tune in for movies because,
Mhm.
especially with how the MCU and Star Wars operate now, it feels like a homework to people that aren't fans
Yeah,
to watch the content. If you're a fan, great, you're getting tons of content. You get to sit there and binge Kenobi or binge Andor or whatever. Now you don't get that or you don't get that from a general audience because they're not. They've got other crap going on in their lives. They got a
dude,
job.
I'm a Marvel casual. At first, I watched some of the shows and like I don't follow Marvel at all right now. I have no idea what's going on there because I'd much rather just see a movie once every. It doesn't even need to be multiple a year. I mean, they pump them out, but like, I haven't even seen the new one that has come out yet. Um, Say something else. Can you, I don't know. Keep going. Sorry.
No, I'll go off your Marvel thing and just interrupt me whenever you got it.
Okay.
But I'll go off your Marvel thing. Like, I was thinking about seeing the new Captain America. I don't watch Marvel. I'm not a Marvel fan at all. I saw the Avengers after they came out, so like, I don't watch those movies in theaters. But I like the Captain America movies, and I was gonna go watch that. And I asked a friend who had seen it, and he was like, "Yeah, you have to know. You didn't have to watch the show, but you have to know some characters from the show before you go in the movie." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" You need to know a character from a movie, and it's like I still might see it because it actually looks like a lot of fun, aside from whatever people have said on Twitter about it. But I'm kind of hesitant to go see it because I don't want to spend 2.5 hours in a movie of my life watching something with characters that have emotional connections to things I've never seen before. And I think
Yeah.
Star Wars, by the way, I have to say that Star Wars has done such a good job at not connecting anything in a show to a movie, because the new Jedi Order movie, the Rey movie, the Dawn of the Jedi movie, the well, actually, I guess the Grogu movie doesn't count, but those two movies are completely disconnected from any show. So you can go into those movies and watch other movies and just watch it like you would anything else. But with Mando and Grogu, you might see something like you see with Captain America, where people didn't tune in for season 3 or didn't watch
Yeah.
past season
Didn't
2,
watch Book of
or
Boba. Yeah.
or didn't watch Boba Fett. Like, if you
Season
watch
2.5.
season 2,
Okay, wait. Sorry,
like
I'm
if
gonna
you
interrupt before I forget because I did finally remember.
go for it.
Okay, no, what I was gonna say in this, um, you know, a roundabout way of saying it, because kind of have to, but from a business side of things, a movie theater makes more sense because you have to pay for it. Like you have to pay for the product. Anyhow, but yeah, I do think from that standpoint, Star Wars is better suited for a return to movies because even though there's been a lot of shows, it's not like it's been one conglomerate thing. So as much as like I will rip on the standpoint of like, okay, right now it's been a little bit iffy because there's been so many different shows. So for the casual audience, it's probably been hard to follow. But that also benefits from a if we're looking forward, they can release these movies and hope that probably have better realistic odds that more people are going to show up compared to Marvel, where it's like honestly, yeah, that's why probably I haven't even gone. It's like it looks cool, but like I haven't seen the shows, and I know that like I don't know what's going on. Been a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like what I said earlier. The Disney Plus shows are just designed, especially the live action ones, they're just designed to be movies, you know. And I think Andor season 2 more than anything is the only show on Disney Plus from Star Wars that isn't necessarily, aside from Bad Batch, designed to be a movie, because they're long episodes. They're 40-minute episodes a piece, and they're like really, Skeleton Crew, Acolyte, Kenobi, Ahsoka. They all could have been movies, and I think
Yeah, I
like
agree.
I I think that even adds to the quality. I'm like, if you keep the same story premise, excuse me, with Kenobi and even Acolyte, I think they're widely more popular because you condense the story and make it a little bit more fluid. Because it does get lost. Like, a week is a long time, realistically speaking. A lot of stuff happens. You're
Yeah,
forgetting. So when you go episode to episode, you're like, what the hell happened last week? You can do a little recap, and that jogs the memory. But like, nothing beats sitting down in a movie theater and watching the full thing
yeah,
straight through, because you get everything you need. You don't need to
exactly.
know this, that, or the other. And I think that actually might hurt the Mandalorian and Grogu movie more than, for example, the Rey movie or the Dawn of the Jedi movie, because you have to know 4 seasons of 2 different shows before going into that,
Yeah, I think
potentially.
potentially. Yeah, I do think that I agree. Also, it's some things agree to disagree some parts. I will say the Mandalorian. I with the Andor. Yes, I agree. Does feel like like it should be a show. Like even though I wasn't the biggest fan, it certainly feels like a show and should be a show because there's so many details. That being said, I am excited for season 2 because I liked the quality. I I was upset at a couple of things. Just like, why did it take the whole season for him to actually become a rebel? Like, I actually wanted to see him do a rebel, so now I do get to see that. So I am excited for that. But the other thing, I do think that the Mandalorian, at least when it was the first two, anyhow, I think it did deserve to be a show and made more sense than it being a movie. Because like, it almost from a at least early Mando is almost kind of like Rebels or Clone Wars in a standpoint. Is like there's almost like a just a one episode arc where something actually does complete. Whereas a lot of these other shows, like that's like with Ahsoka, with the Acolyte, with Skeleton Crew, where like Skeleton Crew, I remember this. Like I really like Skeleton Crew. There was an episode it could have been like I think it was episode 4, then episode 5, where they're on a planet for that episode that is honestly a random planet, and they're still on that planet for the entirety of the next episode. And it takes 2 episodes for them to get off that planet. So I'm like, I don't know. That idea just doesn't conclude as well versus when you get into a Mando episode, you're usually in the ship with the Razor Crest with Mando and Grogu. They're going to a planet, and by the end of the episode, they're blasting off to their next adventure per se. Kind of like a Clone Wars or Rebels. And Andor's a different beast in itself. That it's like a HBO show where it's very detailed, oriented, so that's why you need it to be.
Yeah.
Mando and Grogu, I don't know how much of it. Like, I feel like they may have made the story in a way that it could work for a casual audience, because I think a lot of casual fans saw the first 2, for sure, the first season of Mandalorian, just from how widespread it was. So they might like we already, in my mind, I think season Book of Boba Fett and Mando season 3. If people didn't fell off, they probably watched most of season 1, season 2. They don't see that Grogu and Mando aren't together, so it's just we can skip all that of like them not being together, and they're already back together. From a casual standpoint, they don't even know, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I do see your point there. I think there's actually a real benefit to that. Shit, I was gonna say something. What was I gonna say? Now I'm in the same boat as you. What was I gonna say? I don't know.
Well, I can here. You can do what I was doing to think about it. I can ramble a little bit more, but basically, with the why it could work for a casual audience is with the Book of Boba Fett and with Mando season 3. Like they are kind of their own complete arcs of stories, and especially with season 3. But ultimately, where we end at the end of season 3 with Grogu and Mando together in their hut and basically on their own, no longer connected with the larger story at large. I mean, yeah, that we introduced new characters, but they're kind of on their own again, is basically where we end off in Mando season 1. Even like it's almost like a reset button. Sure, things happen, but like we concluded what happens. There is no more Moff Gideon. There is no more of that. It's kind of just back to that.
Yeah, and I've got it now.
Nice.
So thank you. But yeah, I think I had forgotten about the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian because it's not like a show I go back and rewatch. Like I'm content with it. It's just not my favorite thing ever. I love it, but it's not like something I go back and rewatch. You know what I mean? But I think you're right. I think people like if you didn't watch season 3 or Book of Boba Fett, because those shows, I mean, the 3 seasons all have overarching points, but I think season 3 was more focused on that than say the other season before that. Because like in season 2, you have that awesome Bill Burr episode. Like that's my favorite episode of The Mandalorian. I love that. Bill Burr is great in that episode. But like you're allowed to have that episode and it resolves itself. Bill Burr goes off to the sunset and goes back to Space Boston. Whereas like somehow Gideon returns. Maybe he'll be back in the movie, but I hope not. But I think I think the I think the 3rd season of Mandalorian was also kind of more of Bo's story than Din's. I think it was
how they
resolving.
made it. Yeah, I mean the videos that I made on the channel. I wasn't talking. I was talking about. I mean both of them, but yeah, mostly more Bo-Katan videos at the time too.
Yeah, I mean she was more or less the main character of the story, and that's fine. I think that's fine. It works works
Yeah,
well, but like
but
it
her
also
arc
works
concluded
well.
though too, like basically from where we left off. Now, if they
Yeah.
go to Heir to the Empire, like if this Mando Grogu movie, maybe we're gonna see Bo-Katan and they might have to be a call to the arms of that group of Mandalorians. That's where I guess I could see them show up again.
Yeah. But like at that resolution only really works if you've watched Clone Wars, Rebels. Am I missing something? I might be missing something. But like
Well,
I think
okay,
that's
naming
where
Clone Wars and Rebels, that's like 11 seasons of shows, so it's a lot.
yeah, and you have to siphon through it because not all the episodes are in order, and you have to find the specific episodes with Bo-Katan and Satine in it. I'm name dropping Satine because I can.
Heck
But
yeah.
like I think that's why that season, for example, just didn't resonate as well with people is because
Even though
you
like
had to have
I was pumped for it for some of the like those
yeah.
character returns. Sorry, you.
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah, I think that's why that resolution didn't work as well. And I think they have a like you said, actually, you've changed my opinion. I think they've got a good opportunity to potentially um, reintroduce the whole season one vibe that you had, or season
Yeah,
two vibe, which is like
dude,
a completed arc.
it's not been that long, but they straight up could kind of pull the nostalgia card a little bit. Like, hey, remember when life was not so fun and you guys were trapped indoors and we gotta watch Mando and Grogu adventures or whatever? Okay, maybe they shouldn't do that. Don't have it, PTSD. But still, like at the time, that was what I looked forward to the most at the time. So like my level of it, my happiness level was at its highest then. So it might bring back memories at least of that if I'm just seeing a very similar tone of it's like, like my brain's supposed to be very, I guess at least personally, like happy when I see this. So that could be the same case with some more casual viewers that like I know people that have seen no Star Wars and just the Mandalorian and like only Mandalorian season one. Like I strip I know people personally that have never seen Star Wars and have only seen the Mandalorian. That's how big it was when it first came out. So they
Yeah,
could capitalize. Yeah, I think they do need to ride a fine line between don't like definitely don't pull a bunch of characters from Mando season 3 or that I wouldn't mess around with that. I would probably stick pretty safe. I mean, I have a fun adventure and then throw some things for fans like us that like little things here and there that would be like, oh, I know that guy, or that's cool, a connection to the Mandoverse at large, and maybe have an end credit that then kind of teases like heir to the empire or whatever else. That's what I think. This should be just a fun experience, a fun Mando and Grogu experience. That's not like, man, it's like it's an actual Star Wars. Like I don't necessarily need that right now. Be a
yeah.
fun experience.
Yeah, I think I know I've seen from the previous celebration the early release trailer for it. They had early footage cut together, so I don't know if you want me to tell you or spoil it or
I
whatever, but I
I
know what
looked
characters.
through the yeah, I looked through some of it.
Okay, so Zeb, um, like that's great. You can put him in there. Just don't make him like a main character. Like he's great for people like us, but for people that are casual viewers, like oh, what's a Lasat? That's pretty cool. And I think that's a great way to write it. I think if this movie feels, and I'm saying feels like Solo because Solo was fantastic,
Yeah, I agree
and
with that.
it would have done better if it came out not next to Infinity War. But point being, if it feels like Solo, I think it'll do great.
Yeah, just a fun experience slash heist. Ease some of the
Yeah,
greater aspects of the Mando slash Ahsoka verse at the end, but don't need to make it too overly complex, especially when it's the first movie since 2019. But
yeah. Don't make it the Avengers. Just have fun with
yeah,
it.
exactly, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
man, I feel like we've covered a good variety of topics. Anything else you want to touch on? Anything particular? I mean, we talked a little bit of Andor. To be honest, because because of my I have never watched I've never rewatched Andor, so I can't even name a lot of the main characters. But a character that I am very excited to be returning, Rector Krennic, because I'm a huge fan of Rogue One. I mean that was very very fun experience to, the premiere of, um, which yeah, I don't know. It saddens me knowing that we lead up to that. But excited to see some of these characters because I think Krennic, that actor who plays him such a great job, but I'm curious to see how he gets to where he's at. I mean, ultimately see how his demise, but like he was a very still prominent figure, and it reminds me, like I feel like you could see a similar vibe to like when I read the Thrawn books, kind of see his rise within the Empire. I kind of like that like dynamic a little bit, like how people get to where they're at, like in a not a democracy, in a a power driven like I don't know. It could be interesting. I'm sure he probably won't be a part of it, but I'll be pleasantly surprised the more I see him.
Yeah, I I'm most excited for him too. He's my favorite Imperial officer across all Star Wars media. He's just I don't know. He's got the aura. He's got the white cape. He's pretentious. He's like, ah, it's beautiful. When he sees like a planet get blown in half, he's the embodiment of the perfect Imperial officer. But I that also brings me to a point you were talking about watching these people like watching characters like kind of rise to where they are, and I think that's kind of been honestly one of the shortfalls. Not to go back on the topic of Disney Plus, but one of the shortfalls is like every season, like every first season, aside from Mandalorian season one, every first season feels like it could fit inside of a and aside from Kenobi as well, could fit inside of a title crawl, like a text crawl at the beginning of a Star Wars movie. Like every season one feels like a Rogue One to New Hope.
Give me the beat.
And I think that's what your issue was with
Yeah,
Andor.
exactly. That's a good way to
Like
put it.
Andor, 110% great show. I loved it, but like 110% season one could have fit into a title crawl, and we could have gotten flashbacks.
I will try not to gloat with you saying that, but no, I'm kidding. But it does for the amount. I don't know. I find myself having to defend myself, what I should have to, but like at least you can see at least how I'm feeling from some like where it's at. But it does come back to a point of what you're saying. Like a lot of these other shows, kind of like that. Like yeah, we get to a finale or a great episode, and like there's a lot of cool stuff, but it's kind of like, well, I shouldn't have to think about why we did some of these things to begin with to get here, though. Like, yeah, there's an importance to like building up. Like, not everything can be action 100% of the time. That doesn't even make sense. But sometimes some of the things don't make sense to be in there to begin with. So
Yeah,
just like there's two. What are we doing?
yeah, I completely agree, and um, I think that's just a shortfall that they have. I think Acolyte could have been like season two could have been where season one is, and season one could have been a title crawl. I love it, but like you could have gotten a title call that kind of reveals that this mysterious figure killed 8 Jedi in a forest on what the hell is it? Olega? No, it was like oh, it'll come to me later.
I'm
I
trying.
can't think of it.
Yeah.
It's you know what I'm talking about though.
Yeah, no, I agree. We said the name so many times, but now it's suppressed.
But yeah, that was Andor. Andor is great, but it could have all been encapsulated perfectly in a title crawl, because you need like three paragraphs, 6 sentences, one of them run on, and you got your entire intro to the character, and you just run it in. You got Rebel Alliance, stuff like that. But
yeah, for sure. So that's why I'm like now, yeah, I'm excited for season 2 because it's what I wanted to see out of season 1, basically. Like, but
yeah, that was like my only disappointment with Andor 1. It was like, wait, he's the rebel now, and then an end credits. I was like, what the?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, like, and there was some, like the second, it was definitely a pacing thing, just in general for me, because I really think there was some really like incredible shots, and incredible arcs. Like obviously the prison arc everyone talks about, and then I think it's the mid-season finale, which was great. Like crazy, they made a TIE fighter look so threatening, and beyond that, the actual cinematography of them like pulling off that heist was great. But I would have like I if could that have been what they dropped the first 3 episode arc of, and that's how we kind of like start? Like, I don't know. It didn't start like the start, especially was struggle for me, and I think like from that standpoint, I was like, man, okay, like we're getting to great stuff, but I felt like it was taking too long to get to some. Or
Yeah,
I don't know.
I definitely get where you're coming from. I kind of experienced the drag of the first episode or two. Not that I was expecting to be like super action packed or anything, but it was a lot slower than most of anything else in Star Wars actually, just as a
Yeah.
whole. Which is fine. It's fine. It's just like, oh,
Yeah, not everything needs to be like the same. Like I'm not asking like, oh, it doesn't feel like Star Wars. There needs to be need to have a lightsaber in it, and we need, no, that's not necessarily the case. Like I'm a huge fan of. I I think like the longer for me. I know you say you don't necessarily like to rewatch the Mandalorian, but like I like to rewatch specifically like the earlier episode, when it was more pretty simple and there wasn't. I mean, there are no Jedi in it. There are like in a first season. Um,
yeah,
and I think that's kind of what I liked about Skeleton Crew from a standpoint of like there's references to some of these things, but there's a lot of mystery. Um, I like that standpoint. I would like to see that story continue, or at least see those characters again. It does end a little abrupt for me personally. I think they stuck the landing for sure, but like that ending was like, oh, just ended so abruptly.
give me another episode. Let me see him be a rebel for a minute. Let me kind of relish in Andor being an episode or being a rebel. But
Yeah,
yeah, no,
less
I
than
definitely
two
get what you're
months
talking
now.
about though. What's that?
Less than 2 months, right? I mean, it's April 25th,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Jeez. Wow.
Yeah, before
That's
we know
exciting.
it, yeah, we'll be watching.
It'll be
And
yeah.
I think that's the same weekend as Celebration. I could be wrong though. Are we,
Celebration's the 19th.
oh, okay, so it's before. They'll probably give like an exclusive showing probably to some of those people.
Oh yeah,
Definitely. I
definitely.
mean, that's totally fair. Um,
Yeah.
are we blind? Deploy the garrison.
Dude, I love it. I love it, dude. I have to rewatch all of Andor season 1 before that happens. It's
I
gonna be a little grueling, but
I think some of the Stay on Target people were telling me I need to do that too, and I think I probably should too. But it's like I don't know if I can physically do it between now and then. Can I get a filler list for Andor season 1?
maybe the binge watch just includes the third episode of every arc.
Yeah, now we're talking. Now we're talking. No,
There you
but
go.
yeah,
Speed run it.
yeah. I do want. I think I'll probably cherry pick some episodes. Yeah, man. There was some good stuff in the show. Like
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna do the entire full rewatch because
that's well.
I'm gonna get images for my videos. So I'm gonna be there. There's a
Yep.
website I use to get images that are just like shot by shot, like every single shot from an episode is in there. So I'll be watching. I'll just be like that image, that image. It'll be a great day for me. I'll have tons of fun.
Yeah, bro.
I'm just
that
dragging
web,
my feet.
no, that website's very nice. That website's very nice.
Oh, it's great. It's so good.
Like necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may not, I may or may not have just a hard drive now with some of the movies in that standpoint, but I don't know. It takes up a lot of space, but yeah, it makes making the videos a little bit more doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've only got like 15,000 images.
Oh my gosh.
It's an addiction.
Another image, a fine addition to my collection. Do you ever? What do you do about duplicates? Like, do you have any duplicates, or do you have it file structured in a way that there aren't duplicates?
So this is funny actually. I've gotten so desperate for images that I've gone to deleted scenes because like half of like Padme's anything and Revenge of the Sith is in deleted scenes. So like, you know how people were on Twitter were talking about her not being in the poster. She's in the deleted scene for that poster. She's in all the deleted scenes. So I've gotten so desperate that's where I go. But there are some repeats. I just don't know where they are because there's so many images.
Okay, okay. Yeah, do you have
So
it
I
broken it
just
down by like character, or is just a giant folder?
it's a giant folder, and then everything's in a separate folder. So
Oh, okay, yeah.
for example, here's one thing I did. What the hell was it? I did it maybe 2 months ago when I was out of town. I was like, damn, you know what? I don't have tons of images of stormtroopers. So I went through Star Wars Rebels season 4, and I just took everything. So I've got this is how I have it divided up. I have Imperial Troopers Bad Batch, I have Imperial Troopers Live Action, I have Imperial Troopers Rebels. Then those have separate folders. So inside the Troopers Rebels, I have AT-AP, AT-AP Pilots, Combat
Wow.
Driver, Dark Troopers, Guard
Okay, you got
Droids,
some
Gunners,
organization. Yeah.
Imperial Base, Jet Troopers, Landing, Probe Droids, and Scout Troopers. And then below that is all the images for the for the actual Stormtroopers.
Bro.
And that's just a small example. That doesn't include the Imperial Officers Rebels. That has, I'm not even gonna. It just has to make sure to answer your question about
You're very
duplicates. Yeah, I have Imperial Off period 1 through 6, and then I have that for Bad Batch too.
uh, wow. Well, you heard it here, folks. Take notes, because
It's
I'll tell you how I
sickness.
do it. I have the idea for a video. I
Oh
write
god.
I write the video. I have a folder that's what if. I make a new folder. That's the video title. All new images are going in, completely random into that folder. I must have so many man.
Oh, I can't imagine how many you have. Oh,
It's
and
it's
you have
it's
to
an obscene amount.
and you have and you have to you have to what the hell is it? You have to crop them too, don't you?
Some of them, yeah,
Oh god.
but yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's your job. That makes sense to make it more efficient. I might at some point, maybe when I just have time, I would like to at least do it by characters. Like I have a good amount of like, at least for my style, I don't know, I have a good amount of dialogue. But sometimes I just want a still shot of just the character. So maybe I'll start doing it by that standpoint. You know, like yeah, Anakin, Obi-Wan, just or just broad. But anyhow, you've got
Yeah,
to figure it out. I'm taking
yeah,
notes.
I when you do it by character, just make sure you separate it because I'll tell you this. I, it's a sickness. Here's my folders for Anakin specifically. I have Anakin and Obi-Wan, Anakin and Obi-Wan training, which is a Kenobi sequence, Anakin and Padme, Anakin Attack of the Clones, Anakin Clone War hologram from the Ahsoka show, Anakin Force Ghost, Anakin hand. I have a folder for his effing hand.
For his
I
hand.
have his hand for his hand. It's the metallic hand. It's the metallic hand.
Okay,
Okay, it's
yeah.
not just his hand. It's the metallic
Sure.
hand. I have Anakin lightsaber. Every image with him with the lightsaber from Revenge of the Sith, specifically Pod Racer, Revenge of the Sith, Starfighter, Tales of the Jedi, Phantom Menace. It's a sickness.
Write that down. Write that down.
Write it down. Write it down.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That's awesome, man. All right. I
So
think
my
yeah.
recommendation is make sure you organize it like that so you can always get to where you need it. Because
Good.
sometimes I do age gaps in videos,
Oh
and you
yeah.
need to have different ages. So
Well, for sure. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
and like usually I find myself in a time where it's like, no, I want a specific image of, for example, like when I was doing my Satine and Obi-Wan video, I was through many episodes of Clone Wars. Yeah, Satine, Obi-Wan. But at some point, all I wanted was Obi-Wan talking on a hologram, and then Anakin talking on a hologram. But to get like one of each, where they're both one of one, that took me way longer than it should from both perspectives. But it was there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but okay, cool.
That's
Well,
that's how you got to do it, bro.
one day when I'm done with school, man. No. Um,
I don't blame.
yeah. Well, this was fun. I think we covered everything. I think we wanted to, for sure.
Yeah,
And
yeah, absolutely.
we'll definitely have to chat or do one of these shows during Andor. That will be
Definitely.
fun. It's been a while since we've show breakdown thoughts, and to do 3 episodes at once, that's a lot to talk about. But yeah, thanks for agreeing to hop on. Make sure to go
Yeah.
check out Anthony's channel. He has in 1 month he uploads more Star Wars What Ifs than my entire channel. So my that's my advertisement for him. But all right,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
oh, you deserve it, Mike. But yeah, thanks again, and thanks to those of you that stopped by. Sorry if I didn't get everyone in the chat to have a conversation. I do appreciate you guys though, and got to give a shout out to Take a Break, mate. A bizbro. Thanks for the. But with that being said, thanks, and yeah, I'll